Hi guys, this is Ranish Malhan from Pixcompose. So today we will move further in our course, which is Photoshop for beginners. So in the last session we saw that how we can create new brushes and how to download them from the internet for the free. So I hope you understood very well. If you have any doubts regarding the previous sessions, you can ask me in the live chat, and if you get any doubts in today's class, you can ask me anytime here. So today we will see how to create a shape with the pen tool. We will start creating shapes with the pen tool. We will start tracing something with the pen tool, and we will see how to make selections with the pen tool and how to use brush tool to create strokes with the pen tool. So we will start working on the pen tool in today's chapter, but before that we will have a look on channel masking little bit. So for that I will open a file here. You can see we have a file here. Now I can go to the channels. In the last class we saw channel masking on this image, so we can do the channel masking here. Firstly, what we did in the last class, I can take a duplicate copy of this red layer. Why I did that? Because this layer have more contrast than any other layer or any other channel. So we have to find some contrast here so that we can easily make a mask out of it. So you can see we have a very good contrast in the red channel. So now we have to increase the contrast here. For that I will go to the image, and here you can find levels. We will use levels to introduce some contrast here. So I can click here. Now I can move this slider, which one is on the left, towards the right, like this. This one will affect the darkness, or you can say that it will affect the shadow areas, like this. Now we will move this cursor, which one is on the right, towards the left. This will affect the brightness, like this. Now after, when we are happy with the selection, we can click on the OK. So you can see we have a very good selection here. Now to make a selection, we have two ways to do it. I want to make a selection out of it. For that I can hold the control key and move the cursor on the thumbnail of this layer. I can click here. You can notice that we have a square icon on the hand icon. If I move it somewhere else, you can see we don't have that icon, and if I move it back, you can see we have that icon. This one is for selection. If I click here, now you can see we have the selection here. So now I can go here and turn on all the channels. For that I will click on the RGB. Now I will go to the layers panel. Here you can see we have the background layer. Now I have to add layer mask here. For that I will click here. You can see we have clouds here. The only clouds are left here. So now we can add any sky behind that or any background. You can see I am creating a shape here and drag it behind. You can see we have extracted the clouds very well. I can change the color like this, or I can take the color from here. So you can see that the channel masking is very easy and we can accomplish very complex tasks with it. So now let's try to use it in another image. So here we can go to the pixels.com. Here I can find out something like landscape. So we will try to make some complex selection here, or we can say that I want to download a lighthouse image. We can click here. So let's work with this image. We can click on it if we want, or we can work on this image. Let's work on this image. I will copy this link to the live chat so that you can follow along with us. If you get any doubts regarding this, you can ask me anytime. So I can download it from here. So you can see that the image is downloaded. Now I can bring it in the Photoshop like this. So now I want to make the selection of this lighthouse so that we can replace the sky, because the sky is right now overexposed. We don't have any information in the sky, but we want to introduce some information in the sky. For that I will go to the channel masking, or you can say channel panel. So here I will test all the channels so that I can get the good amount of contrast here. So in the red channel we have very low contrast in this area. The next one, and in the blue channel we have very good contrast. We can take the copy of this channel. Now I can go to the image. So now let's work in different way. Last time we copied this channel layer, but today we will not copy this layer. Instead I will create a selection from here like this. Now I will go to the layers. Here you can see that we have layers mask. I can click here. Now I want to invert this mask. For that I will press Ctrl+I like this. Now you can see that we have to increase the contrast in the mask so that we can increase the opacity here in this area. So for that I will go to the image adjustment, and here I will select the levels. So now I can modify this mask very well like this. You can see that we have very good information now. Now we need to apply a sky. We can use this sky very easily here. I want to use this one. So let's group this layer, these layers. For that I will press Ctrl+G. Now these layers are in group. I can drag these layers to this document. Now I can leave it here. You can see we have these layers. Now there are two ways to apply this sky here. I can click and drag this mask to the group 1. Now we need to invert this mask. For that I will press Ctrl+I. You can see we have flipped it, but we have to treat the sky layer to get a realistic effect. For that I will open the group. Now I will select these layers and convert them into smart object. So now I will drag these layers to match the horizon, but you can see that I have selected the group and dragged the group. Instead I have to select the layers and drag them. For that I can uncheck this one and now select the layer 0. Now start dragging it like this to the horizon of this image. So I can see that the horizon is here somewhat. So now what we need to do here, we need to duplicate this layer. So this one will work like a, you can say that this one will work like a reflection in the water. So for that, press the Ctrl T and right click here, and here you can see flip vertical. I can flip it vertically. Now I can drag it down like this. Now commit the change, drag this one down like this. Now at this time we need to blur this out. For that I will select the reflection layer. Now I will go to the filter. Here you can see we have the blur menu, and here we will find out the Gaussian blur. I can blur the sky reflection like this. Now I can commit the change. At this time we need to add ripples. For that I will go to the filter, and here you can see the blur menu, and here we can find the motion blur. I can click here. We can adjust the value according to our need like this. We can also use the feather. And we can go to the selected mask. To enhance the selection of this mask, I can shift the edges little bit like this. Add little bit of feather like this. Now here we need to change the color of this lighthouse. For that I am going to collapse this group. Now I will add a adjustment layer here. I can click here, and here you can see that we have all the list of adjustment layers. We saw that in the earlier lessons. So here you can see that we can use the curves or levels. I can go to the levels and bring it down, because we want to adjust only the lighthouse image. So at this time what I need to do, we need to add little bit of contrast like this, and little bit of blues like this. Now at this time we can add an overall adjustment on this image. For that I will use the selective color. I can increase the reds. For that I can increase the yellows and magentas like this. We can adjust the naturals. So in this way we can adjust it, and we can use the channel masks very well here. We can spend some more time to color correct it, but we will see that in the later chapters when we will start making some proper projects in this course. So today now we are going to start the pen tool. For that we will see the basic demonstration firstly. So I can click on file menu, and now I will create a new document of any size, because right now we will see only the demonstration of the pen tool. So for the pen tool I can press the P key, P for parrot. You can find out the shortcut key for the pen tool in the chat, live chat. So here you can find out the pen tool. I can click here. You can see the icon of this tool. So I can click here to use it with the left mouse button. Now I want to add some another corner here. So for that I have to click here again like this. Whenever I need to add a corner, I have to click there, and at the end when I want to close this shape, I can go back to the first initial point of this pen tool, and here I can find out the 0 near the pen nib icon. I can click here. You can see we have closed this path very easily. So in this way we can make the selection, we can make the shapes very easily. This will create vector shapes and vector mask, which are very crisp at the edges. We will see the difference in later chapters. So start making the shapes with it. Let's start making the shapes with it. So now the next thing is in this tool is, like, if I click here, now I want some round edges, then I have to click and drag the mouse. You can see we are getting the curve here. Now I can click here and start dragging until I get the desired curve. Now I can click here. You can see we are getting a very smooth shape here. So in this way we can create something, you can say something, some shape in the curve. If I want to curve the initial point, then I can click and drag here. You can see we are getting the curve point here very easily. So in this way this tool works. So now to hide these paths I can press escape key. You can see now these paths are not here. Now we will see how to create shapes with these parts. So I can go to the shape tool. Here you can see that we have this option in the options bar when we have selected the pen tool. So I can click on the shape. From here I can select the fill, and from here I can select the stroke. So I can start making the shapes here like this. Now you can notice the another thing, that we are getting a new layer here in the layers panel. So this one is the layer, this one is the vector layer. If I double click on the thumbnail of this layer, you can see I am getting the color picker. I can change the color very easily whenever I want. Now when I zoom in, you can notice that this one is the vector path. For that I am going to zoom in. You can notice that this one is smooth. I can scale it up to any point. This one will not lose its quality, like this. So in this way we can create the shapes very easily with the pen tool. We can also further modify these shapes very easily. Like I want to add the stroke here. I want to change the stroke color. I can click here. I can change the stroke width very easily from here. You can see that. We can also change the stroke profile from here, like this. We can also align the stroke very easily from here. I can click here. This one will change it to the center alignment. You can see half of the stroke is inside and half of the stroke is outside of the shape. And now I can click here. Now the whole stroke is aligned outside of the shape. Now if I click here, you will get the round corners around the corners. Like if we create this, you can see that we have round corners. You can notice that very properly if I select this one. Now I can change the alignment and the corners. So you can see that the corners are not very sharp now. The corners are round at this time. We can change the cap. So let's try to create a stroke here. You can see that the end of the stroke and the start of the stroke are round. And if I change the mode from here, you will notice that we will have the sharp corners in the stroke. We can change it again if we want, like this. So this is the basics of pen tool. We will start making some shapes with it. If we go down, you can notice that we have this shape tool. From here we can create the rectangles very easily, like this. We can create round rectangle, like this. We can change the roundness of the corners very easily from here, from the properties panel, like this. Now if I want to change the roundness of only single corner, for that I have to click here. And now if I drag here, click and drag here on one corner, you can see that the top left corner is very round as compared to the other corners. I can reduce the roundness of the left top corner, and now I can increase other corner, like this. We can also increase from here. You can see we can get many shapes from here. So I can go to the another shape, which one is eclipse. We can create a circle or an eclipse very easily with that. We can also create a proper circle with it. For that I have to hold the shift key. You can see we are getting a proper circle, like this. After that we can also create the polygon tool. I can hide all the layers. You can see that we are getting the polygon. We can also change the number of sides which we want, like I want 10 sides. So if I create it now, you can see we have 10 sides. If I want 3 sides, you can see we have a triangle here, because triangle have a 3 sides. So the next tool is line tool. I can click here and click and drag on the canvas. You can see we have the line right now. We can increase the height of the line very easily. We can increase the width of the line. We can also increase the stroke of the line very easily. We can also change the profile. We can also change the alignment of this shape, or you can say the line. So here you can find many type of things, like if I turn off these layers, or you can say if I hide these layers. So now if I click here, you can see we have the custom shapes tool. I can click here. So here we can find all the shapes in the options bar. You can see we have the shape option here. If I click here, you can see we have the folders here. So like if I want to create a leaf tree, I can go here and I can select a tree like this. I can create a tree. You can see that I can distort the shape in any way. If I want to constrain it properly, we have to hold the shift key. You can see that like this. When I release it, so we have the shape here. We can change the color of this shape if I want. Like I want to color it in the green like this, and I want to remove the stroke of this. I can click here, and now I have to click here. You can see that we have a slanted line here which denotes to no color. So you can see that we don't have any stroke, or you can reduce the stroke size to 0. That will also work. So in this way we can use the custom shapes very easily. We can also create some other shapes. We can also see some other shapes, like I want to see the boat here like this. We can reduce the stroke size to 0. We can change the color of this boat like this. So in this way we can work with the shapes very easily. We can also modify these shapes very easily. We will see how we can do that later in this chapter. We will also download these shapes afterwards. We will see how to download these shapes very easily for free, and how to install them very easily. So now we will start tracing some shapes here. We will see how to trace the shapes and how we can create the custom shapes here. So for that I will delete all the shapes, because we have lot of shapes which are disturbing us. So for that I will open a image here. Let's move to the image folder. You can find the link to the image folder in the description. You can download it and use it to follow along. So let's select this camera with the pen tool. I can click and drag So now I will start making the selection of this camera with the pen tool. For that I will press the P key, and now I will click here. I will click here. I can start from anywhere, wherever I want. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag, like this. You can see we are creating a shape here instead of making a selection, but first I will delete this shape. Because we have selected the shape option here, we have to change it to the path to make a selection. Now I will start creating a path. To make a curve, we need to click and drag like this. I suggest you to follow along with me, and if you get any doubts, because you can get many doubts regarding the pen tools very easily, because this tool creates lot of confusion in the start. I can click and drag here like this. Don't worry if you messed up with the pen tool selection anywhere, we can adjust it afterwards very easily. You can see we are getting a very good path with the pen tool. You can see this line is very straight. I can click here now. I don't have to add many points here, so I can add points far away like this. Click and drag to make a selection. Like this. Now I can hold the Alt key to adjust this point. I can click here. Hold the Alt key to adjust the tangents here. Like this. Now we need to close this selection. For that I will go to the first point and click here and start drag to create the shape here. Now you can see we have the curve here. The selection is completed. Now I will press the Ctrl 0 here. Now I will right click here. You can see we have this menu like we had in the selection tools. So here we have an option to create a vector mask. I can click here. You can see we have the mask here. We have created it very easily with the mask, vector mask. I can zoom in here. You can notice that the edges are very crisp here. Now we will start selecting. We will start making the selection with the selection tools and compare the result. I am sure that the result will be better with the pen tool. So I will copy this layer and now I will start making the selection with the selection tools. So I will delete this vector mask. Now we have the image again. So now I will start making the selection like this. So you can see that. So now we have the selection. Now I will create the layer mask. For that I will click here on the layer mask. You can see that we have the layer mask, but we have to reverse this mask. For that I will press Ctrl I. So we have the mask here. Now I will turn off the vector mask so that we can see the quality of this mask. I can go at the edges. You can see that we have some jagged edges here, but if I go back to the vector mask, you will see the crisp edge. You can see that we have a very crisp edge here, but here we have something jagged, or you can say some rough edges here when we have made a mask with the vector mask, layer mask. Now if I turn off the layer mask, you can see the quality of the mask of the vector mask. You can see we have the crisp edges here. So now you can see that we are getting a very good selection. We are getting very good mask with this. So this is very good tool. So you have to practice it very well, because in the start you will get many doubts regarding the pen tool. So I suggest you to start working with that, and if you get any issues with that, you can ask me anytime. So today's session we will stop here, and if you get any doubts after the class, you can ask me anytime on my social handles. You can get the links in my description. You can contact me anytime. I will help you out. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe us and do press the bell icon for the further notifications. Thanks for watching.